Søren Kierkegaard was a 19th-century Danish philosopher of stunning intellect, deep melancholy, and profound anxiety, who was also capable of cutting, often hilarious, wit. Though he authored 22 books, his enduring legacy rests on three masterpieces. Born in Copenhagen in 1813 as the youngest of seven, he grew up in a family of immense wealth. From his earliest years the shadow of death loomed over Kierkegaard, becoming a central obsession that would define his entire philosophical project. It was, in many ways, his one true subject. He was not only physically delicate, but by the age of 22 he had tragically outlived all but one of his siblings. This personal catastrophe fueled a frenzied creative output over the next 15 years. In a single day in 1843, he remarkably published three separate works. He wrote not for a financial gain, but as a desperate act of self-preservation, and in his view, for the salvation of humanity. His life, however, was cut short at 42 by a debilitating spinal disease. In his key works, Either Or and Fear and Trembling, Kierkegaard's primary goal is to jolt us out of our comfortable sentimental delusions. He launches a systematic assault on the foundational pillars of modern existence: our belief in family, our trust in our careers, our romantic attachment to love, and the overarching assumption that life itself holds any inherent purpose or meaning. He declared war on the smug complacency he saw everywhere, taking particular aim at the prosperous Danish upper class and the institutionalized Danish church. He famously wrote, "As I grew up, I opened my eyes and saw the real world, and I began to laugh, and I haven't stopped since. I saw that the meaning of life was to get a livelihood, that the goal of life was to be a high court judge, that the brightest joy of love was to marry a well-off girl, that wisdom was what the majority said it was, that passion was to give a speech, that courage was to risk being fined $10, that cordiality was to say you're welcome after a meal, and that the fear of God was to go to communion once a year. That's what I saw, and I laughed." Kierkegaard directed his most scathing criticism toward the 19th century ideal of romantic marriage, an ideology that tried to merge passionate desire with long-term stability. He scoffed at the idea that you could contain the thrill of a love affair within the predictable structure of a long-term relationship. For him, you could not simultaneously have the wildness of passion and sex alongside the domestic routine of children and stability. While he respected each path individually, he found the attempt to fuse them into one cozy state-sanctioned union to be utterly absurd. This wasn't just abstract theory, it was born from his own heartbreak. He fell deeply in love with Regine Olsen, a brilliant and beautiful 18-year-old, but abruptly ended their engagement. He concluded that the daily reality of marriage would inevitably extinguish the very flame that first ignited their love. For Kierkegaard, life was a series of unavoidable traps and impossible contradictions. This feeling culminated in his famous despairing passage from Either Or: "Marry and you will regret it. Don't marry, you will also regret it. Marry or don't marry, you will regret it either way. Laugh at the world's foolishness, you will regret it. Weep over it, you'll regret that too. Hang yourself, you'll regret it. Don't hang yourself and you'll regret that too. Whether you hang yourself or don't hang yourself, you will regret both." This, gentlemen, is the essence of all philosophy. The reference to laughter here is crucial. For Kierkegaard, it was a philosophical weapon. He believed the only intelligent response to the horrors of life was to defiantly laugh in its face. It's for this reason, and his focus on individual experience and dread, that Kierkegaard is widely considered the founder of existentialism, laying the groundwork for later thinkers like Sartre, Camus, and Heidegger. The existentialists were particularly captivated by his 1844 book, The Concept of Anxiety. In it, he introduced the world to angst, the crushing weight of absolute freedom. It's the dizziness that comes from realizing we have endless possibilities, but no guaranteed path or certain outcome. As Kierkegaard famously wrote, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. This constant state of angst means that unhappiness is an inescapable part of the human blueprint. As he bleakly assessed, anyone who has given the matter any serious thought will know that I'm right when I say it's not possible for anyone to be absolutely and in every conceivable way completely content, not even for a single half hour of his life. He added, no one has come into the world without crying. No one asks when you want to enter the world. No one asks when you want to leave. How empty and meaningless life is. We bury a person, throw 3 shovels of earth over him, drive out in a coach, drive back in a coach, and console ourselves that we still have life enough left to live. But really, how long is 3 score and 10? Why not just get it over with straight away? In the face of all this despair, Kierkegaard proposed a radical, single solution: Jesus Christ. This wasn't the comfortable Sunday morning faith of the Danish church, which he despised, but a raw and simple devotion to the Gospels he learned as a child. He championed a total surrender to Christ, which demanded giving up worldly attachments and loving all humanity. Instead of trying to rationally prove his faith, he advocated for his now famous leap of faith. This meant switching off one's limited, faulty reason and jumping wholly into the belief in God as the ultimate answer. As he put it, to have faith is to lose your mind and to win God. Ultimately, much like with Marxist communism, the power of Kierkegaard's philosophy doesn't lie in his proposed solution, but in his brilliant diagnosis of our problems. While few today may take that religious leap, his work is essential for its beautifully bitter and unflinching examination of the human condition. He is the philosopher we can turn to not for easy answers, but for a profound and honest companionship in our darkest moments, especially when the sentimental illusions we rely on finally shatter.